Welcome, Deal Doctor Livestream Monday. Thanks for joining. We're going to talk today a little bit about doing a little something different to try to get control of your business, particularly in this wild, crazy market that we have, that buyers are really frustrated and their agents are as well. Let me assure you that I'm out there with you. A few weeks back, I wrote an offer on a $400,000 listing, wrote $400 cash, no appraisal, lost out to a $450. 2 weeks ago, same thing happened. Lost out to a $350 on a $300,000 cash offer, and just this past week, lost out at a $335 offer, which was $20,000 over the asking price, lost out to a $370 cash offer. I understand how frustrating it is. I understand how frustrating it is when you turn in a listing or turn in an offer to a listing agent, and the agent then calls for highest and best, even though they have indicated that there are, quote unquote, no deadlines. Well, guess what? That's the wrong language to include on a listing contract anyway, because a deadline suggests that they're not going to accept any offers after that. And that's not true. It's simply not. The language should have been offers, the seller will review offers no earlier than a particular date. But in that consequence, the seller has the right to accept other offers, call for highest and best, and so on. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can make your offers stronger, because Tracy Gresham was on and brought up the point of shouldn't we have some kind of a document that says, here are tips to make our buyers' offers stronger and more winnable. And we've done that before, but the market has changed. It's become even more intense out there. So I've put that out, thanks to Tracy, to our broker support team, and we're going to be working on that document to provide to you so that you can win in competitive offer situations. But here's a few quick ideas. I've always included a credit report with my offer when I have a buyer who's got a 750, 800, 830 credit score. It's amazing what difference that makes because other agents aren't providing that information. I ask the lender who's involved to include that information in their pre-qualification letter. Sometimes I'll get a lender who says, no, I don't want to do that. That's a privacy issue. No, it's not a privacy issue. Thank you, Mr. Lender or Miss Lender. But the reality is, if your buyer allows that and if authorizes you to release that information, you have every right to do so for them. And if you are a lender who doesn't want to do that, guess what? I'm going to find a different lender for my buyer because that's in the best interest of my buyer. If I fail at that, I'm going to actually include the actual credit report. Cash is a powerful option out there. What we're seeing a lot now is that agents are asking their clients whether or not they have cash available. Is it in a 401k or some other investment program? Do they have funds that they could liquidate to get cash? Is there a parent or family member who has cash that they can make available to them, even on a short-term basis? Cash is a powerful weapon that agents are using now, and very often buyers do have cash available if you ask them, but a lot of agents simply don't ask them. So ask them, see if they do. Maybe they don't. But at least if you ask, you'll know better. Escalation clauses. Escalation clauses are not winning offers like they used to. And the reason is simple. It's sort of like the Price is Right. The person who offers $300 on a washing machine or whatever it is, whatever item is up there, and the next person offers $301, and we all go, that was a real jerk move. Well, that's what escalation clauses are. They only benefit the buyer. And so sellers now, being in the position of power that they are looking at escalation clauses and saying, you know what? You want to make an offer on my house, I've got 8 other offers, bring your best offer and skip the escalation clauses. So be aware of that. I'm not saying throw them out, but be aware of that when you're writing an escalation clause. the escalation clause really only benefits the buyer to buy it at the least possible price. Here's a couple of other ideas. What about a signing bonus? Have you ever thought of that? This is done a little bit in commercial, and you'll find that if, for example, there's a $10,000 earnest deposit on the table, if that buyer leaves the transaction, terminates the transaction due to inspections, the buyer agrees to leave $2,000 of that $10,000 earnest deposit with the seller. Would that help a seller be enticed to accept your offer? Even take it a step further, the signing bonus of, I'm going to put $1,000, a $10,000 earnest deposit or $5,000 earnest deposit, but I'm going to write a check to the seller right now today if they accept our offer. Is it a gamble? Absolutely. Is it worth the gamble if you're out there selling a $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 house? Absolutely, in my view. But it's something to talk about and offer to your buyers and say, here's a checklist of options that we can do to put in your offer to make it more competitive. Remove the appraisal contingency completely if you can, or have an extremely high appraisal gap guarantee. Again, things that we didn't have to do 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but the market calls for it now to win for your buyers. I'm a little more cautious about removing inspection contingencies because that can leave the agent in the position of being accused later that you didn't act in the best interests of your buyer client. Even though you may have talked about the risks of doing that, your buyer may come back later and say, no, you didn't. You didn't talk about that, and you didn't honor my fiduciary duty that you had to me about this transaction. So if you're going to remove inspections from the offer, I would get it in writing that you have disclosed what been very specific about the risks that the buyer is assuming in doing that, and hopefully that will protect you down the road. Just a few ideas about how to win in multiple offer situations, but we're going to do more of that in a document. The frustration, though, is that's not going to fix the market out there and how you do business. Just a quick note. At the end of this, if there are topics that you would like us to cover, do videos on, do Zoom meetings on, whatever it is, if there's anything you want us to cover that we're not covering, let us know. Put a note down at the end of this, and whether it's working expired listings, doing a seminar on how to work expired listings, or how to work for sale by owners, how to contact your database, how to build a database. All of those, the database is really scary, but I had a friend once, and he said, I don't have a database. I've been in the business 20 years. Yeah, that's how I reacted. Silence. Really? I said, well, what do you mean you don't have a database? Well, I've got a Rolodex, and I got a grocery bag full of Post-it notes, and I got a phone book. And I said, well, then you have a database. You just haven't organized it in a manner that you can use it. So hire someone to put it into an Excel file, for example. Excel's relatively simple and basic. There are more complex contact management systems out there. That's fine. I've worked with Excel for years, and you know what? It's what I know and what I can use effectively, so I'm good with that. At least I have something that I can send out a mailing every month. So let's get back to getting listings. It was March 6, 1989. 4 days after my older daughter was born, that I quit my job. And I went full-time selling real estate. And everybody who knew me and what my job was thought I was completely nuts, and they're probably right. But I sat in a Floyd Wickman seminar on March 6, 1989. And here was a man who had made many millions of dollars selling real estate and training and being a broker and so on. And I listened to him, And I realized if I did everything he said, I would be successful, I would make money. And the number one thing he said was, listings are the name of the game. Listings have always been the name of the game. They continue to be the name of the game. Let me ask you this. If you had 5 or 10 listings out there right now, would you be worried about the buyer's offers that you're writing and losing on? Well, maybe at least a little bit less than you are now. If you're dependent on buyers for your total business, then you're at the whim of this market, and it's pretty crazy out there. So, I would encourage you to go after listings. The follow-up question to that is, yeah, but how? How do I do that? How do I get a new listing? Well, I'm going to share a few examples. Expired listings. I built my career 35 years ago on expired listings, and I worked them for about 25 of those years. I haven't worked them very much in the last 10 years, and it's not as easy to work as it was back when I was doing it, but they're still out there. The comment I get when I say that is from agents, there are no expired listings in this market. Oh, yes, there are. In fact, I ran a search today. Since December 24 to today, on Flex alone, 431 listings have expired, unsold. How many of those could you have gotten? I don't know. How many of them did you call or knock on their door or send them a piece of mail? I don't know how many you could have gotten if you didn't pursue them. So, expired listings. And again, if this is something you want to do a seminar on, want us to do a seminar on, we can do that and provide you the track for getting expired listings. We'd be happy to do that. Just let us know. We'll do a Zoom call on it, whatever it takes. FSBOs. When I started at 5-Star years ago, there was a young man who asked me a question. He said, how do you work for sale by owners? And I told him how to work for sale by owners. The only thing with a for sale by owner that's going to change their mind is time. Time. And when they decide whether it's a day, a week, a month, 2 months, 80% of those people will list their houses or take them off the market. In this market, maybe it's 70%. I don't know, but there's still a majority of those for sale by owners that are going to ultimately list their house. So if you're the one who is at the top of their mind, when they decide to list their house, you're the one that they're going to call. And I can go through a whole process. Tony Lewis with RE/MAX was one of the most successful agents in Grand Rapids working expired listings. And I can share that with you. He did mailings every single week. And there was a process to him staying in contact with those for sale by owners. The agent with 5-Star has done pretty well over the last 10 years, and his name is Brian Bovin. If you want to ask Brian what I shared with him, be my guest, or I'll share it with you in another video. But today, we're going to talk about that being just one element of the things that you can do to get listings out there. Question. Oh, I got a question, and I don't have my Facebook page up, so give me just a moment. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to talk about buddying up. When I got in the business, again, many, many years ago, we had nights on Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, dial for dollars. It sounds trite, and it was. But that's where we all got together at like 6 o'clock at night. We ordered pizza. We dialed the phone, cold call, expired, FSBO, whatever it is. We did it for several hours until we all got listings. And we had pizza, and there may have been beer involved. I don't remember. But the point is that they kept me accountable, and I kept them accountable. Buddy up. Get a group. Get a pal. Someone who's going to make you accountable to show up and start dialing, whether it's on a Zoom call or you check in beforehand and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Let's get on the phone, or let's go out and walk neighborhoods, look for look for sellers. You see this in virtually every walk of life, where whether you're working working to get in shape, you hire a physical trainer, and okay, this is kind of weird. I'm having weird things going on.
Important security message.
Okay, that's not good.
Your computer has been locked up. Your IP address is used without your knowledge or consent to visit websites that contain identity theft virus.
I don't think so. Bye-bye. Okay, we'll have to do that question another time. That's kind of disturbing. Anyway, you see this in physical, getting in shape. Physical trainers, people who are going to run a marathon, they work together, they push each other, they make one another accountable. And it's true in real estate too. If we have a buddy who's going to help us be accountable, and we help them, we're going to make more calls, we're going to get in contact with more people. Call your database, every single one. Family, friends, neighbors, those you do business with, call every single one and ask them if they know somebody who might be thinking about making a move this year. Oh, let's talk about prospect specific. Prospect, if you ask that question, are you thinking of buying now or in the near future? You'll get a no. It's a closed-end question. It doesn't open up anything other than the opportunity for them to say no. If you ask an open-ended question, who do you know who's making a move this year? It's going to cause them to think more thoroughly about it, and maybe they'll come up with a name. When you're prospecting, use real examples, real people. For example, right now, I have buyers, Zach and Katie. They want to live in this neighborhood. They need 3 bedrooms, at least 2 full bathrooms, and they can afford up to $375,000. If you're calling or visiting neighborhoods or sending out mailers, and you provide that kind of specific information, and you're prospecting those neighborhoods that fit that description, then you're going to get better results than if you're simply calling out and saying, hey, you're thinking about selling, making a move. You're thinking about selling your house. Make your prospecting specific to buyers. If you don't have buyers, trust me, there's a bunch of real estate agents, 5-star agents, who will share their information with you so that you can go out and find a listing for them to buy, especially if it's off market. If you want my buyers list, I'll share it with you. You got Katie and Zach already. Those are real people. And so if you have anything in the 375 range, up to 375, 3 bedrooms in the within 10 minutes of the Grand Rapids Airport or Woodland Mall, you let me know. Or go out and find something for them, and we can team up and sell a house together. Send mailings. Anything that has your name, company name, obviously, and phone number. Send mailings every month. Again, or as even more if you can. But if you have a buyer who's looking in a specific neighborhood, create a mailer. Tell that neighborhood that you've got a buyer, Zach and Katie. They can afford to $375. They want 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths. Okay? Send that out. I once had Mary Reardon was a client of mine, and Mary was looking for a house. I had her house listed. We couldn't find Mary's house. One day, I sat down and I took a crayon and I drew a picture of Mary's house. Very childlike, and it said Mary's house. I did it with my left hand. I posted it on a TV channel and said, this is Mary's house. It has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, whatever. I instantly got a phone call the moment that it aired from Linda Levin. And Linda said, I have Mary's house. It's listed over on Madison Avenue, and I'm going to have an open house on Sunday. Mary and I showed up to that house at 1 o'clock when the open house started, and Mary bought that house that day. So it works. Send information out there telling sellers what your buyers are looking for. Door knock. Knock on the door. It's a lost practice, but it still works. In fact, it works better today than it did 15 years ago because people are accustomed to getting phone calls, telemarketers, but they're not accustomed to having someone knock on their door and say, "Hi, I'm in the neighborhood. I've got a buyer who wants this neighborhood very, very much. Are you thinking about making a move?" It works. Stay focused on getting listings. Buyers will say, if you can find us what we're looking for, and agents will become distracted from their priority, which is to get listings. Always have a block of time within your day that you are working on getting listings, whether that's 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. Right now, if you're new in the business or trying to jumpstart your business, getting listings is where you need to focus your time in order to generate income quickly. Buyers in this market are tough, and if you don't take my word for it, look at what other agents are telling you on Facebook, on the Grand Rapids Association of Realtors, and so on. Stay focused on getting listings. So, what happens when you get a listing appointment? What are you going to do? What are you going to say? Well, there's a process in that. Process in the listing appointment and I can repeat it to you even now, 35 years later. Smile, ring the doorbell, take them out on the kitchen island, ask them a bunch of questions, look around the house, show them your marketing plan. Oh, wait a minute. Show them your marketing plan. Huh. Yeah. What's your marketing plan for their house? What is going to set you apart if they hire you versus the other agents who are competing for their listing? What's your marketing plan? What are you going to do for them? How do you make yourself a more valuable agent to them than somebody else? Again, if you don't know how to create a marketing plan for your clients, let's take that up as a topic. Let's talk about that. Let's create some language for you that will help. And now I'm going to see if I can get my computer running so I can you just tell me the question?
There's quite a few.
Quite a few, okay.
They're a bit long. One of them was from towards the beginning of the stream. Ben Borman asked, do you include the actual credit report, or have the lenders mention the credit, or have the lender mention the credit report?
Either one. I prefer it come from the lender. It tends to have more credibility that way. But sometimes lenders will be reluctant because they think it's a privacy issue, and it's not if the buyer authorizes it, as I said. If they're not willing to do that, and my buyer really wants to stay with that lender, then I'm going to send the credit report.
Right.
Question?
Another one from Paul McIntyre says, yes, do we have a form the buyer signs that talks about the advisability for waiving inspections? I'm not sure that we have a form. I think we might. I'm going to check with Eric Graham on that because I think he may have written one up or been in the process of writing one up, but I'm going to make a note because I think that's a great question and it's something we absolutely should. Actually, we do have the pre-offer addendum, which goes through a number of topics, and it's in the buyer packet. So if you go through there and look at that, there are a number of topics that it talks about the risk being assumed with no inspections and a variety of other things like getting a home warranty and so on. So that's one, but I'll check with Eric to find out if we have specific language about the risks of waiving inspections. One more from Bev Borman. She says, hi again, Don. Another question. In signing bonuses, you said write a check to the seller. Do you mean send realtor my offer and a copy of EMD and also a check made payable to Mr. Seller?
Yeah, the check made payable to Mr. Seller or Miss Seller or Mr. Mrs. But yes, it's a signing bonus. I've seen it work out there. It's kind of crazy,
And there may have to be language in there that says that this signing bonus is only going to be non-refundable in the event the sale fails to close through no fault of the buyer, for example. So that the seller can't torpedo it and walk away with $1,000. But yeah, I mean, if you're in a bidding war for a $500,000 house and you say, hey, how about if we throw $1,000 at them that they can cash today and move forward, then yeah, I think it's an option. Okay. That's it. Okay. We moved pretty fast here, except when my computer gave me the Microsoft warning. We'll have to look into that now. And so, thank you all for joining. I hope this helps. But please write down what you want us to cover in these Deal Doctor live streams and provide for you in any form to help you out there in the marketplace. It's tough. We want to help. Thanks for joining.